this week, I talked to Omar Lopez actually on Facebook just earlier today, and so if you guys don't know, we have a page on our site called it's called Free MP3 Music Created by Artificial Intelligence. And so what Omar has done is he's created a sort of algorithm that takes samples of music and it will sort of rearrange them and turn them into something that has some kind of it resembles order created by people, but it's not people, it's a computer. It's really kind of a crazy thing. It's kind of hard to explain, and I don't fully understand it myself, but the music that we have here is all free, and he has, let me see if I can play this. So he's altered his algorithms, and what he's done is created this. So let me see if I can play it here. Kind of give you guys a sample. Hey Omar. Hey Weebeast. Alright, so that's just a quick sample of how it sounds. This is the latest one. It's called Feel. And so I'm going to actually make this available on our site probably tonight after the show, just for anybody to download if you want to. And these are free to remix or to add to your films, or just to download and, you know, kind of examine them and see what you think. Most of them are kind of rudimentary, but like I say, they are free, and some of them are like atmospheric, some of them are kind of like adventure-y, some of them are kind of, you know, they're all just real different. So check them out. And so the page, if you want to find this, it's in the, if you click on tutorials and articles, and you go down to free downloads. Oh, my cat wants to go out, of course, right when I start the show. But you click on free downloads, and it's free MP3 music right here. That's what you'll see. And this picture is pretty cool. It's provided by Neville Buchanan from Motion 66. Let me let my cat out real quick, guys. Hold on a second. I'm back. So anyways, moving forward, so I wanted to show you guys something that one of my friends sent me this link. And so I had one friend who wanted some realistic eyeballs created for a project. And so Peter Montgomery actually replied to me as well. Peter Montgomery is an artist in the UK who's working on a stop motion project, and also one of my friends sent me this, and this is something that I wanted to show because I've never seen this company before. It's called Fourth Seal Studios, and so if you look at their stuff, it's kind of interesting. They've got these fake eyes that they make. Some of them are life size, so we're talking like, you know, full scale, as in something that you know, you could use for like a mannequin or a full-sized prosthetic prop or something. And so I scrolled down in here, and there's one picture. Let's see if I can expand it. And here's an eyeball that they've created, and you can see it's about the size of maybe, it's not quite the size of maybe a dime, perhaps. Looks really, really good. And so I didn't see the comments. So Randy says that music doesn't do anything for me. It sounds like a computer wrote it. No feeling, even though it's called Feel. Well, that's kind of true, I suppose. There's not a lot of feeling to it. It's sort of samples, you know, human created music, and sort of takes it and arranges it differently. So yeah, it's not going to be the same as a real human, but like I said, you can take it and turn it into something in different programs. You know, it's a good starting point. But anyways, so this program, this company here, creates these eyes, and so I was thinking, you know, this would be kind of cool. Like, you know, is there some way that you could do this yourself? And they're actually selling these kits, which the only thing is I'm not sure if they sell kits which are puppet size, but let me see here. So it looks like they sell make your own 13mm eye kit. So for $100, I think this is probably it. I think these are the small ones. So 13mm. I'm trying to think. Alexa, what is 13mm in inches?
13 millimeters is 0.51 inches.
Yeah, so still kind of large, still a little bit large, but they have these kits that what they've done is they've 3D printed. Let me see if I can. Here's a better picture. Or actually, where's that one picture that they posted? I think it was only on Facebook actually. But what it looks like is this. But what they've got now, which I guess they don't have it on this page, is they have like an iris that pop like it's a separate piece, and then they've got this this back end, and what you do is you can you stick this into a mold. But see, this is where I'm confused. So they've already got the molds. They've got it says it comes with a platinum silicone painting core mold, a platinum silicone clear coat mold, aluminum filled resin casting plate, a bolt, and a step-by-step guide. So I'm not really sure entirely how this works, but if I understand correctly, you cast this with a special resin, each part. So this part here would be sort of cast in a white resin, and then this you actually wouldn't, you know, these would be actually what comes out of the mold. So I guess that what they're doing is they're just selling the mold itself. Okay, so it has a plate, a bolt, and this. So this is what actually comes out, and then this part here would be cast inside this mold, which would be clear. And then you'd have to buff this out with buffing compound most likely. But they've used a Formlabs printer to make this, and they've got it in, you know, this high detailed mode as, you know, you can get it, and those are quite pricey. So this might be out of reach for most people unless you use something like Shapeways and ZBrush and you want to do this yourself, which is totally possible. ZBrush would make this, you know, kind of easy, but you know, if you guys are interested in learning how to make these for puppets, the process would be exactly the same. You can use you know, digital file, 3D print it, but just make the eyeballs to whatever dimensions you need. So you guys might want to check this out on the internet. It's fourthsealstudios.com, and you know, I'm not sure. They've got different kits. Let me see, twin cast combination eye kits. So these are actually pretty expensive, but let me just click this here real quick. And this comes again. So I guess they're not really selling the casting materials like the resins and stuff. You probably would have to buy that elsewhere, which kind of stinks. So just the mold, plate, bolt, and a guide. So I guess what they're doing is they're just like telling you, go to like smoothon.com and buy this resin and that resin and so forth. But anyways, that was kind of interesting. You guys might find it beneficial to check out. And yeah, so anyway, kind of cool. Now the next thing I want to talk about, I thought was kind of a unique thing, which you would need to understand how to do this for a very special reason. So one of my friends, Webster Colcord, has this series called Mad Doctors of Borneo, and I thought that the next thing I'm going to talk about would be perfect for something like a film like what he has made in the past. And so I can't really like show this entire thing. I'll probably get copyright a copyright strike and so forth, because that's what that is what YouTube does. But he's got this short series of films where the Mad Doctor, he sort of captures people and he dissects them and turns them into monsters and stuff. It's really neat. And so this is made in, I guess, maybe 1994 or 5. So this is just one of them. He sort of like throws this guy into a cage with the rest of these monsters, and there's a whole backstory. Webster told me the backstory and everything about this this guy, and he's in like, you know, the island of Borneo, and he's isolated, and, you know, doing all these experiments on people. And let me see here if I can find this one. I think this one here was the first one Webster did digitally before. Like, it's the first time he delved into that. So this is probably, how old is this one? This is pretty old also. But he's got all these different things on his shelf, you know, like different, like, there's a Venus flytrap, and here's like a crusty old, you know, desiccated frog. And he's like, there's something missing. And that's the end of that episode. It's really short. But, you know, if ever you had, you know, like a kind of monster, mad monster type thing like this, you can do something in Photoshop, which is kind of cool. This is something that my sister had posted on Facebook, but I found out how, you know, the instructional manual on how to do it, and so here it is. So if you have, for example, a puppet head that you want to stick into a jar, a miniature jar, you can't fit it in a jar, right? Because the jar would have a lid that's, you know, usually smaller than the head. And so what this guy has done is he's shown how you can, you take a side shot and a front shot of your character, or your own face. You know, this is for your own face, but I'm thinking in terms of miniature, right? And what you do is, in Photoshop, you slice the face parts off of your side. You line it up with the front. And then you blend these edges together. And after blending the edges, you have a sort of front view and a side view that's kind of like an unwrapped, like a CG model would be unwrapped in this way, right? If you guys have ever made like a ZBrush character and you've done like unwrapped UVs and stuff, you might be kind of familiar with this. It kind of looks like that. So here's the final result, right? And then what you do is you laminate it. So you got the same thing, it's laminated. And of course you'd want to do this for your miniature as well. And then you find a jar, and then you stick some green food coloring in there, and maybe some orange or yellow. And then you just roll it up, stick it in the jar, and due to the way that the light is, the light bends inside the jar, it looks like you've actually got a head in there. Yes, a UV map. That's exactly correct, Omar. So I thought this would be really cool. Like for, you know, I might pass this along to Webster and then be like, hey, for your next Mad Doctors film, you always have all these characters in under glass and in jars. You know, like for example, this one was the Converse commercial. This is, I think, the first time the Mad Doctor was actually used in any kind of animation. It's one of my favorite puppets too that Webster's worked on. But if you notice in the background, he's got that character from the first episode where he turns it into a bat. I think it's called the brain bat, and you can see in the background he's got it inside of this glass, you know, and then he's actually like superimposed bubbles inside there. But the quality of the video here is really bad. You know, this is probably transferred from a VHS tape or something. I don't know. I know Webster also was cleaning all this stuff up digitally and having all this old film stuff transferred to through a company, and so like each individual frame of film was transferred really crisply. But I don't know if he has the rights to do that for Converse. That might not actually come out as a cleaned up version. But anyways, I just thought it was kind of fun, so I wanted to pass it along to you guys. just to give you guys some ideas of what is possible for stop motion puppets and making props and things. Um, it's always kind of fun to look at live action stuff and see how they do things and just translate it into miniature. Alright, so... Hey, Mr. Gold, what's going on? So, Mr. Gold says, hey, I got that Michael Myers puppet. I will start animating soon. Awesome. So, you'll need to, maybe you can post some pictures or something on the site. That'd be awesome if you could do that. Let me see here. So, let's kind of recap what we've been doing here. So I have been working on this a little bit today. So let's see, what was the last thing I showed you guys for Bad Apples? I think it's been like 3 weeks already since we worked on this together. So the last time, I think what we did was I added shadows to all these layers on these faces, just to make it seem as though everything had more dimensionality to it. Like before, it seemed like the faces were just stuck on like pieces of paper, kind of laying on each other without really any depth, I guess. And so we added the shadows, but what I had forgotten to do was to make eyelashes and eyelids for this character, the mother character. And for her, I kind of envisioned that for her face, let me see if all these are kind of... So for this face, I kind of envisioned that I would have eyelids that were painted purple. So it was almost like she had makeup on, you know? And then I wanted to have, you know, fine detailed eyelashes on the lids. And I couldn't figure out really how to do this in clay. So what I decided to try to do was, these lids here were orange in color. So, yeah, I don't have my folder open for that, but these were orange, and these are all like stock for the other characters. And what I did in Photoshop was I went to image and then adjustments and then color balance. And from here you can change the color of your Photoshop document to, you know, cooler tones, warmer tones. You can make it more green or, you know, blue, or if you want it to be red, you can do that again. Like I could sort of revert it back to that if I wanted to. See, so now we have orange, but I wanted to have purple. And what I did is I found some eyelashes on the internet that were like from a stock photo company or something. And I'm stealing it. I am, you know, going off into the sunset with all their gold and using these eyelids and eyelashes together. So what I need to do, though, is I need to transfer somehow. Let me see here. Do I have an actual... These are the arms. Arms. So maybe here. I need to rearrange these lids. And here's the crazy part. So we've got, for the faces, we have a front view and a side view. Like this one. So we have these side views. And so we're going to have to make a pair of lids that will work for the side views and for the front views. So they have to be spaced in a nice way. And I believe, let me move this a bit here, or wait. So we've got a left view, a right view, and a front view. But how many right views do we have? We have 1, 2, 1, 2. We've got 1, 2 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 front views. So we kind of skimped on the side views, actually, thinking about it. But that's all right. So, but the most important, I think, would be the front view to start. So let's just get a front view. I'm gonna have to modify these a bit. Let's go like this. Copy. And now it's pasted in there. Oop. Gonna have to put these at the top, actually. Get up there. There we go. Oops. Let me zoom in. It's going to be kind of hard to do this, I think. So I want this to kind of conform to the shape of her eyeball and not have a really super ugly, distorted look at the same time. These might actually end up being kind of tiny, so maybe I'll make them slightly larger, something like this. And erase around the edges as well here. So this is too large. Let's make it smaller diameter. So by the way, I haven't forgotten about Ron Cole. I know you guys last week what we talked about with Ron is maybe having him on the show in order to talk about silicone. And so next week will be feedback week. So if you guys want to submit any sort of short films or experiments, or anything that you've been, like for example, Mr. Gold, maybe you want to, if you do some experiments with your Michael Myers puppet or something, you can post it in the feedback week forum section, and we can talk about it. So feel free to do that. Oops, here we go. I think last week was a pretty good success. I think people are enjoying the feedback weeks only because I noticed that the amount of viewers that we've had at any given time has been, oops, let me do this real quick, has been higher than usual. So right now we have about 10 people watching the show, but last week we had, I think, 15 towards the end of the show. And that's pretty good, for us. I mean, we're a small channel still, so I think you guys enjoy it. I enjoy it as well. It's a lot of fun to just talk about, what people are working on, and it's kind of cool. Zoom in here. And because it is kind of boring to talk about your own stuff for so many weeks. I mean, I've been working on this Bad Apples project for, seems like forever. Not that I don't enjoy working on it. It's just that, it is a bit monotonous to watch. Probably, here, this is another Photoshop thing where I'm doing this and that, and it's very repetitive, and I think that's not as nice. So, it's not as spontaneous. Alright, now here is the test. I'm going to try to take these lashes. Let's see. Oh, I think I got the wrong. I gotta select this one. There we go. Alright. Just making sure I have the proper order of my layers, and we're gonna try and do this. Let's see if we can. And usually for girls, if they're younger, here's a little thing you guys might not know, but if you're making like a puppet of a young woman or a young man, right? The outside corners of the eyes generally tend to be higher than the inside. And for older people, it's the opposite. You would have something like this, where the outside parts are kind of sloped in a downward angle. So the reason why is usually when you're younger, your skin is a lot tighter, and so the corners of your eyes are somewhat stretched back and up. So like if people in Hollywood get all these facelifts, you'll notice that sometimes their eyes look unnaturally pulled backwards, like somebody's taking tape or something and pulling their eyes up. And that is because they're trying to emulate youth, a youthful look. And that's just a strange fact for you. So for this character, I don't want to make it where the eyelashes are too much of an angle in either direction, because I don't consider her to be super young or super old. So maybe up just a little bit. And so what I'm going to do from here on is I need to adjust the purple part underneath. Make sure that kind of lines up a bit here. So it's going to go like this. Then I'll have to erase all this part so that the this edge will be what actually is the edge itself. It won't be the clay. And I hope it looks good when it's done, because I'm not really sure how it's going to work. So Ken says I might contribute to Feedback Week for my latest big stop motion project called Soil. And he says I have completed 2 test sequences so far, and now I'm working on a 3rd. Cool. That sounds great. And Randy says, cool Ken, I like the name. And he says, thanks, it's an adaptation of a parable from the Gospels. I intend to present it as a silent film, no dialogue or voiceover, trying to avoid making it too preachy. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can understand if it's too preachy, it might be a turnoff for people. Let's see now. I'm going to paste this over here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to delete that. I have a plan. Alright, so this here, I'm actually going to duplicate this layer. And then I'm going to flip it horizontally. And that way... Oh, I guess I can't do that. Alright, I know what I need to do. Hold on a sec. So, this... I need to delete that one. I wonder if there's a way to flip a layer. I don't think there is. That's one of the things I hate about this. Alright, so let's do this. File new, okay, edit, paste, image, rotate canvas, flip horizontal. Okay, now I can just drag and drop it into this document. Like this. There we go. So the question is, should I also do that with the lid as well as the lash? So Randy says, wow, thanks Mark for that pointer about eyes. I've sculpted kids and it took me forever to figure out how to make them young looking. I always just stumbled onto a look that worked. I love knowing that the point about the outer corner of the eye seems like there's lots of parables about Soiler. Well, here's another thing you guys might be interested in. I was watching a short documentary about Jim Henson and the Muppets, and sort of the history of puppetry. And so, stop motion and hand puppetry kind of have a lot of similarities, believe it or not, in terms of, you know, how puppets are made. Um, you know, but, well, obviously there's a lot of differences, but in terms of like materials, like foam latex and all that, that was actually a super pioneering thing for puppetry, for, you know, like Jim Henson and Frank Oz and all those guys that worked, you know, for his company. And here's the thing that I learned. So when they make a puppet, they tend to make the puppet uh, with like they'll take like what do you call them, ping pong balls, right? So they'll cut the ping pong ball in half, and they'll paint, let's say, either, you know, like a circle on there for the iris, and then, you know, put a people in there. And one of the problems is that when you do that, the eyes tend to be, you know, like bulged out and really big, and they tend to look like they're dead, right? Because they have this blank stare. So how do you get rid of that blank stare? Well, what they do, and the way that they make it seem as though the character is focused on something, and if it looks like they're focused on something, it looks like they're alive, like they're thinking and taking something in, right? So what they do for every single puppet that they make is they slightly cross the eyes, just a little bit. So they almost have this look as though they're staring at something close to them, as opposed to having eyes that are straight ahead. So if they're both straight ahead, they look dead. That's kind of like a way you can remember it. Um, so you always want to kind of slightly cross the eyes of your characters. And most of my characters had that problem, believe it or not. And I didn't know that trick, but it's something that I, now that if I watch like old episodes of the Muppet Show or something on YouTube, if you look at their eyes, it's true. All the eyes are just slightly crossed, and they, when they turn their head to the right or to the left, even though they don't necessarily move their, you know, animate the eyes always appear to have some sort of, you know, thought behind them. So it's something you might translate into your own puppets when you make them for stop motion. Uh, I mean, that's definitely something that I plan to do my next time I make a character. So what do you guys think? I think that these look pretty good. You know, I was worried about the detail of the lids on this puppet being too wishy-washy and rough looking, because when I was trying to make these lids, you know, with my hands, there's no way I can get the detail of these lashes like this in clay. They're very sharp here. So one of the things I want to do is, let's see about the opacity. No, it's not the opacity. There we go. So I'm going to bump up the brightness on these, because if you notice, they seem super black, and it doesn't look good when it's on the clay. Like, the clay has a certain saturation level that the lashes don't quite match. So I'm going to put the brightness up to 17 on this one, and then brightness 17. There we go. The other thing I need to do is add some drop shadow to this. There we go. And opacity about 55. It's pretty good. Oops, was that layer? Okay. And then here's what Randy taught me. So you click copy layer style, and then you find the other layer you want to modify. So that's this one, and then paste layer style, and we got the same settings for both. That looks pretty good. Now it's gonna be super complicated trying to animate these, I have a feeling. I'm going to label, I'm going to call this, let me see here, left lid. right lid, because these are small and I can't see what they are. And I'm going to call this right lash. And hopefully when I bring this into Moho, this will actually keep the properties. I'm not really sure. Whoops. Wait. Left flash. This is all just a big gamble. I don't really know how this is going to work with Moho yet, but I think that's going to be okay. Alright. I'm pretty happy with that. So let me see what happens if I pop a different face on there. So that pretty much works. Scroll down a bit. So some of these don't quite line up. So I can, I can just move around. Something like that. I think that's how it goes. Yeah, there we go. And then this one. Although she looks a little bit strange. Why is it? Oh, she doesn't have eyebrows. So we need to give her some simple eyebrows as well. Wondering if I could probably steal some eyebrows from another character. Bad apples. So we've got photos large, and then do I have any though? That's the question. I don't. At least not there. This character, no, he's not gonna have any. Wow, how could I not have done that? What about this one? And nope. Could have sworn I had at least one picture of some eyebrows in here somewhere. Photos to share, PSD. This is frustrating. I suppose I could do it in Photoshop, but well, we could try it. And if it, I mean, technically it's a woman, and usually they like draw their eyebrows on, so it wouldn't look so bad. But so let's see here. So Ken says, yeah, I never thought about doing the eyes like that. I figured the soil parable lended itself to stop motion. Each soil will have a unique texture. Randy says, soil's tricky to work with. Curious to see your results. So, I worked on this a Warner Brothers project where we had to come up with some soils, ironically, and we used a texture roller that had a rocky sort of texture on it, and then we used clay. And so Randy says, I've used clay for everything: dirt, sand, snow, water. And Ken says, yeah, I plan to mix clay with some sand, kinetic rock, and sand for another, just plain clay for a third, and I plan to use orb molecules for the good soil. We'll see how that goes. Awesome. And so Randy says, if you draw eyebrows in Photoshop and they need some depth, just bevel them a bit. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's give it a try, and if it works, it works. If not, that's okay. This is still a work in progress, and nothing is set in stone here, so... Alright. I'm gonna zoom in. Oh, this is actually not a round brush. This is like a textured kind of thing. let's see, 5. What's a good diameter? Also, my flow and opacity are way down, so let's just kind of. She might end up looking kind of harsh. Like, I hope she doesn't look like the Wicked Witch or something here. Alright, so I'm not really liking that size diameter. So let's go with like. Let's go with. Let's try maybe 10. Wait, so 10. I mean, this is kind of like what it looked like if it was clay. This diameter, because most of my characters I just kind of make like a little snake. Yeah, it's like I can't really make a nice clean clean line with my mouse here, but this is the best I can do. So alright, so let's try Randy's trick. So we will bevel and emboss. It's actually not too bad, really. I think if I add drop shadow, let's soften it up, add drop shadow, and then make the distance like maybe like this, and the opacity. No. I probably should have made those on separate layers, because I want to like move those around, you know, like free transform it, and which I could still do. Let's see. Let's do this. I'm gonna get rid of this, and then on this one, wait, so this one is the right, this one, I get rid of the right one, and then it should, there we go. Now I can individually mess with these. Because I think if that was one layer, if I try to animate it, if I want, you know, one to go up and one down, I can't. And this way I can also stretch this out a bit, because this one's, there we go. That's not bad. This one maybe just like straighten that out a bit and move it over. There we are. I almost wish I had made some sort of hair on here on her, like maybe just like a little bit of a like bangs or something, you know. I guess it's not bad though. I always come up with different ideas, and you know, it's if I try to implement all my ideas, it would just take me forever to finish the film. So, but it's not bad, I guess. All right. So I'm gonna save this just in case. And so now we have to do at least one side view. So let me get rid of that, and where's, oh, I've got right and left. So how can I do this? Let's see. So I think these might actually just work the way they are, but in Moho I could slide these lids and stuff around. Trying to think things through here. So what I might do also is I might take the left lash and the left lid. Let me move this one up. How do I do this now? Move up. No. So left lash and left lid. Now if I merge down, first off let me make sure that this is not selected so I can kind of see easier. Left lash, left lid. So I'm gonna merge down. Now the problem is I think that the shadow might mess things up when I do this. Merge down. And the reason why is I want to make this one piece to animate. So let's see what it does. So it's going to have to rename it something when I do this. And it's probably going to keep the left lash name. But let's try. And, oh, okay. Well, it doesn't really look too bad. I can see the shadow for the lash itself, which I didn't have before, but I don't mind that. And so technically this would have to be up here. No, that's not right. So let's see how this is gonna work. Alright, let's merge down. Ah, it worked. Okay. So it actually kept the layer properties for the lid and applied it to the lash. Sometimes I get really confused with this stuff. Yeah, Ken, I think I kind of recall you talking about this in the past, actually. He says, I've been working on the project for the past few years now, getting the story right and solving potential problems. Yep. That's how it is. It takes a long time to work stuff like this out. Alright, so now that I've done this, for the side view, I think what I'll do is I'm gonna... Oops. Where's my side view? Darn it. Here's the side view. Okay. So I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to free transform it over to here. Let's see how this looks. Urgh. It's got this stupid snap thing where it keeps snapping into place. And I can't line it up that way. Close that. But if you zoom in, it works. Okay. So left lid facing right. There we go. So that'll look like that. And right lid, duplicate. Move that over. If we can. And then, so this one, I'm going to actually kind of squeeze that one in because if you noticed, there's a bit of perspective when the face is turned. And then I'm going to do this. So layer properties, right lid facing right again. I just hope this is not a super nightmare to try to animate in Moho. Alright, so this is going to be right brow. And then I think 37 is left brow. Let's see. Yeah, so left brow. So I'm going to duplicate it, as you might have figured out already. And then left brow facing right. I free transform it over to here. Does she look kind of snobbish to you guys? Like kind of stuck up in any way? That's the vibe I'm getting now that I've added these lids and everything. I don't want her to look like the Wicked Witch or anything like that. facing right. Okay. Let's zoom out. So, alright. She looks much more innocent without the lids, doesn't she? Like kind of more, what's the word? I'm gonna try messing with this just a bit to see if I can get her to look. Let me see here. Let's change the angle. Yeah. So Ken says she does look snobbish. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from these. The way the lids are here. Let's try to alter that a bit. How does this look? So if we were just to look at this side. Wonder if I should have lids now. All this work I just did. Hey, radio guy. And, it's still going. Still working on it. But this is, I don't know if this is the same project you're thinking of from before. Because I have worked on a bunch of different things on the live show. But, this is the Bad Apples project, and so it's going pretty good. I mean, all the characters are completed and sculpted, and so now we're just kind of taking Photoshop and we're gonna stick her in Moho, and we're gonna animate her in that. That's the plan. Well, thanks for coming back and saying hello. Yeah, maybe this is the last. Let's see here. Blending options, drop shadow. So let's get rid of the drop shadow. Let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, why does she have to have that snobbish look, though? Why is that? I mean, I kind of like the more innocent look, to be honest. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's right, radio guy. So, I did design all these in Krita, that's correct. So, you must have seen this when I just started out. So, I work on this every other week now. I don't actually do this on the live show every single week. Just, every other week. So we had this thing called Feedback Week now. So if you haven't been here in a while, check out last week's show. And we had a lot of fun talking about, you know, different projects people are working on. And so let me go back to my Bad Apples folder here. And I'm going to... So this is the weird thing about working on film projects is that so these were the original lids that I intended to use, which were yellow. I'm going to just plop one on here and see what it looks like. Just to see what it looks like here. I mean, because this character does have to have somewhat of an innocent look, and she has to look concerned. Like she has these little kids, which she is worried about because they're hungry and stuff, and having a snobbish look doesn't quite convey the emotion that I'm going for. I wonder if, maybe it's just the bottom curvature, the curve of the lids before on these are, let's see here. Maybe it's just that. I'm not really sure. Well, let me delete these here. Don't worry, it's easy to if I want those, I can just duplicate those layers again, so I haven't completely deleted them. The shape of the mouth. Well, I was trying to take note of that, and that's what I was thinking as well, but it didn't seem to be the case when I looked at the other. Let me get a front-facing view, and left brow, right brow, or left lid, and right brow. Where are we here? I have way too much stuff on here now. Okay, right lid. I don't know. Or it's gonna bug me now. That's the thing. Alright, so let's do this. And let me add a drop shadow here. That, and then opacity, just to kind of give it a little bit of, because it seems to almost blend into the yellow clay underneath it really too much. So we'll kind of give it just a bit of, get some distance. So the spread, no, that's too much. I mean, maybe it'd work better with a lid like this, with none of the, the crazy lashes and stuff. Right brow, left brow. Left brow needs to move a little bit. Maybe the harshness of the colors also makes a difference. So I'm gonna lighten this up. Let's say 96%. So we also had this lid, which is like the underside. I probably should have experimented and tried to come up with something that looks good before I committed to anything. So right lid, left lid. So technically I wouldn't really have a lid like this on this expression. This is more for like a smiley face. Put on a smiley expression here. Oh, here we go. Here's one of them. It's looking a bit stoned on this one. I don't know. See, this is where animating on actual glass, I think, would have been a benefit. Okay, so I think this lid is just too heavy. So if we got rid of that, it would actually look good, right? Alright, let me do this. So we need to play with these and get this to work, because if we can't, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just... I might just leave it off. Alright, catch you later, radio guy. And Ken says the mouth has something to do with it. And Randy says, also tilt the eyebrow more than it is. Alright. Let's see, left brow. I think having it lower is actually makes a big difference. So let's do the same with this one. So yeah. So I think, you know, in some ways leaving it off is better. What do you guys think? So some of these, it just doesn't look good at all to me. So we have this one, which is, you know, halfway down, like halfway down the eyeball, the black space, and then this one is just at the top, and then if it's off, it looks pretty nice. And let me see which so left brow, duplicate, retransform it, and move it over here. Yeah, I think this looks best without any sort of lids. I'm wondering how I should go about animating these eyes. Maybe in Moho I could sort of stretch these closed. I don't know if that would look really nice, but let's take one of these over here. Let's do this. Copy, and then let's put those down there for a minute. I mean, closed looks pretty nice, right? This looks pretty good. So for blinks, that would be actually great. Let's duplicate it. Yep, this would work. Randy says, I think it works with or without eyelids. Less work to go without. Yeah. But I mean, she has to have some sort of blinks. You know, I want to have blinks to accent her motions. You know, like, so she has like a head squash or something and then pops up. I want that squash to have the eyelids closed, right? So I want those in there. But she doesn't really have to have, you know, lashes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if it's not working, then, you know, no need to put it in there. Where did I put the other one? Let me see. So this is the left, this is the right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you know, it's more frustrating to do it this way than to do it in clay. But the plain look really works, and I think also the fact that she's supposed to be poor, maybe not having makeup is a positive thing. And for the other character, because I've got this second mother character, let me see if I can show you guys. Wait a minute. Is this... Did I not do her though? I guess I didn't. I haven't done her yet. So Mother 2 is here. Oh, shoot. Let me just do this. So this particular character, the snobbish look would actually work great because I want her to be kind of snobbish, but only during the second part of the film. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But for now, I think this is good. So I'm going to save this just for the look. And then I think since it's past 9 o'clock, what I'll do is next week I will, or in 2 more weeks, because next week is feedback week, I will go through and just kind of clean up this whole entire document here. I'm going to clean it up, name all the layers, and that way when I bring it into Moho, hopefully that will translate into Moho's layers, and then it'll make things easier for animation purposes. Alright. So you like the blinks? Yeah, me too. I think that the blink looks really good like this. I think it's a keeper. Alright guys, well anyway, it is past 9 o'clock, and that does conclude our show. And hopefully you guys found it at least kind of fun. Like I said, I will be uploading that MP3, if you guys would like to use it for anything, to our website. And also, one other thing is that you might want to check out our network page, because there has been a few more posts on there, and always interesting to see what people are talking about and reading and writing about, and posting on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, all right, so I'll see you guys all next week.